Tower Defense Simulator is one of the few popular tower defense games on Roblox that isn't just gambling slop. However, while it's not gambling slop, the game does have many flaws that over the past while have just been getting worse and worse, and in this video I'm just going to go over them all and state my opinion. Starting off are the bugs. This game has a list of over 1,000 known bugs, and those are just bugs that people and playtesters have gone through, and not how many bugs are actually in the game. This game has 1,000 bugs, and whether those bugs are minor or major, even if all the bugs are minor, that still adds up to be 1,000 bugs. And the thing is, not all of them are. Some of them are major. Some of them break the game for certain people. If your game is in a state where it has 1,000 bugs, you think you're going to be focused on fixing those bugs, but no. From when the final act released to the shock and awe, there were bugs that prevented restarts, revive tickets, and more that only got fixed after like the month period from the final act and the shock and awe update. And from what I can tell, those were the only bugs they fixed in the update. Reminder that this game has a list of 1,000 bugs, and the only bug they chose to fix was the restart and revive tickets. Look, Golden Pyromancer is directly targeting this enemy, but as you can see, it doesn't take any damage or get burned at all. I spent hours grinding for this tower and thing that costs 50,000 gold, and it doesn't work. Units don't have correct walk animations to adjust for timescale. On max level, Elf Camp says that spawns in a gift bomb elf, which is able to fly and drop bombs, being a supportive DPS that has all types of detections. Players spend 10 grand in-game currency to unlock this upgrade and this thing that they possibly need to detect flying or lead or help eat support for hidden or large swarms doesn't spawn in. Players can waste 10 grand on this upgrade and then die because the game shows them the wrong information on this tower that they could have spent money on. They are charging people for this tower and it doesn't work properly. Commander has several bugs with his Call to Arms ability and the particles it generates. If you delete a tower, the effects stay forever. If you stack a second Call to Arms, after the first Call to Arms wears off, the particles are removed, but the tower is still under the effect. I don't have footage of this because I didn't clip it, but health bars are not effective when an enemy regenerates health, so players can assume that an enemy has lower health than it actually has and cause them to lose because they leak an enemy that regenerates to get massive health. Although some of these bugs appear minor and visual, this game relies entirely on visual information. A bug doesn't have to crash the entire game to be an issue. If I'm not able to see what's going on properly in the game and I lose to that, it is extremely frustrating wasting a timescale ticket, a revive, and my time because the game presents me the wrong information. Ever since the massive success of the solar eclipse update, they've always been trying to do reliance on Halloween and Christmas events at the end of the year, which of course is an issue, except when it hijacks the quality of the normal game. In the later months of 2025, there was almost no original content. It was almost all exclusively recycled. PvP only contained Champion Templar, Challenge Trials, then only used recycled enemies, and Frost Mode uses almost only recycled enemies from the Operation Ice event. It's okay for devs to recycle an enemy here or there, but when 3 updates that add new modes contain only recycled enemies, that is way too much and developers need to actually add content to the game. But of course, the Halloween and Christmas events always have a new supply of enemies. Like, they really just hard tunnel on the event. If you have criticism on, like, the update before the event, they'd be like, oh, the event's coming. And it's really just, like, getting to a point where they need to rely on actual permanent content and not just events. This year, we have 2 towers scheduled that doesn't include Tesla because that was delayed. There are 2 non-event towers scheduled and 2 event towers scheduled. There are as many event towers as non-event towers being added in this entire year, and that's ridiculous. Speaking of towers, they are also making 2 contributor exclusive towers, War Machine and this other one, where you have to submit and get 15 skins accepted into the game to be able to get this tower. This is ridiculous. We have 2 towers planned this year, and contributors get 2 towers. Why are these towers, which are as much content, maybe even more depending on how complex these upcoming towers for us are. War Machine is very possible that War Machine is going to be a very complex, very cool tower, and we're going to be left with something which it, like Tesla was, which is basically golden electric shocking. I get it that developers need to make their money from the game. However, I think that Tower Defense Simulator has way too much monetization. So many game passes, so many dev products, every single feature in this game has found a way to be monetized. Maps, you need to have VIP to be able to select a map in the lobby. Towers, you can pay to get the towers. Enemies, you have to buy Sandbox Plus for $80 to be able to unlock old enemies in ones, unless you want to grind out the game and beat a mode 25 times to unlock the thing for a boss, which if you didn't play an event during the time, then you don't get that exclusive enemy. Everything in this game is monetized one way or another. You can win and it'll still be like, oh yeah, give us money, watch an ad. It is so excessive that's not even funny. I get it, I really do. Developers need to make the money. They have a large dev team which isn't able to model new enemies for the modes for some reason, but they still need to make the money. But why is Sandbox mode $80? And actually, you end up playing it for free if you get a certain level. First of all, level 250 is way too high. Second of all, that mode is very limited. And third of all, it's still $80. I can buy 2 copies of Minecraft and 2 copies of Terraria for the price of the Tower Defense Simulator Sandbox mode. They try and defend this by being like, oh, we need to pay the devs, However, as I discussed before, the developers aren't doing what they should. They aren't putting the proper care into, like, you want us to pay $80 for Sandbox mode and then try and be like, we need to pay our devs. However, a new update releases, like challenge trials, and there's not one enemy that isn't from a different mode, and you get Frost mode, which is a whole main mode, and it has very few enemies that aren't from a Frost event. Like, this overbearing monetization mixing with the difficulty that bugs bring to be able to play and enjoy the game, that are also mixed with the lack of actual care for the actual players, is what make me think that this game needs to step up and fix these issues. The game has 1,000 bugs, and if they don't do something about it, it's gonna stack up more and more. That's gonna be it for my video. Thanks for listening to my unhinged rant, but I really do think that these devs need to fix the game, because they obviously are able to and know how to. However, they are just, instead of fixing the game, they're just adding new content. Look at the event, look at the cool new event. It's really not a good thing for the game.